So I never thought I'd get this far with it. And it's amazing what you guys can figure out if you just buckle down and you start skimming off the fat that I keep urging you guys to do, but that's a horrible way to put it. This is in relation to Seminar 5, having to do with, you can think of it as black magic, tarot, what people consider the occult, the esoteric, to be hidden in plain sight and shit like that. That's roughly enough, Seminar 5. There's probably more nuances that left out, just the same. This also relates to Seminar 10, having to do with time, and time in particular. So you have numerous sources out there that will tell you, that magic is bad, but you also hear them tell you, what people consider astrology is also bad. It's because all routine is ritual. This is also why our masters, this bleeds into something else that I always complain about, and I was thinking about making a video about anyway, or recording a video detailing blah blah blah. Social engineering, it's altering how we would normally conduct ourselves. Case in point, I'm carrying this stupid fucking thing around and I'm recording a video on a public sidewalk. That's not something I would normally have done in terms of the course of my life, and it's probably not the healthiest choice. Just the same. Routine, all routine is ritual. It's magic by definition. So part of what I've cataloged, you guys can use this as a tool. You can use this as huge stepping stones because people don't understand these things. And again, I never thought I'd figure it out in terms of how time works and how that relates to, I put the, astrology over here, and in terms of using it as a magical system or a magical tool, so to speak. In other words, it's another reason why the calendar and all that other crap, and people know some of this to a degree, but they don't have the grassroots approach. They don't see where it's coming from. They don't understand why we've been duped, why we've been had, why the wool's been pulled over our eyes. I can show you guys these answers to reality and show you how it works. And from there, you can build on that and do something with it. In other words, there are certain things you would not do. There are certain days you probably wouldn't leave the house and certainly not do normal things that you would do. Normal. Again, I'm using a cell phone right now and I wouldn't be doing that if I was living a natural course, in terms of life and whatnot. How should I put this? Times and hours and all of the crap. So you guys probably already know bits and pieces of this have to do with the internal organs in our bodies and what have you. So if you're trying to heal something or you're just trying to avoid something, say you're going to go out and do something rigorous, there are certain days or hours when you would not do that. You would plan around that. You would reschedule shit. But everything's willy-nilly and people just throw caution to the wind and they assume, well, I mean, in many ways you are spinning, the wheel of samsara or the wheel of fortune or however you want to dress it up. Because people do not know these things, people are not supposed to know these things, and most people will probably never know these things because people are painting on the wall with shit, as I constantly echo. But you could if you took the time and you reason things out, and that's what people aren't doing by and large, and it's a fucking joke. It shouldn't be this way, but it is this way. Oh, look at this bullshit. These things are a fucking joke and a menace. They drive that shit in the fucking bike lane of all things. It's terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. And I feel like you just kick it over. Or the wind might blow it over. I don't know. If any of you guys live out here in the Northwest, you might know about the Dalles. When you're driving out that way over those bridges, and I imagine that those little cars don't go out that way, but the wind starts whipping so fucking hard sometimes, it probably would knock that little piece of shit over. Back to point, sidetracked, tangent cam. I've been meaning to catch one of those on video for a while because a bus driver told me they cruise in the bike lanes. Sometimes I'll skate in the bike lanes, and the last thing I want is another motorized yuppie hauling ass behind me. Yeah, sorry, pet peeves. Another thing, real fast, and I think there is a difference between this, but I might be wrong. I've had a lot of yuppies bark at me when I'm skating. Here in Oregon, if you have a bicycle, in other words, if you're on wheels and it's not motorized, as far as I understand it, you are a pedestrian by definition. I think once there's a motor involved, you're no longer a pedestrian, so that fucking thing shouldn't be in the bike lane. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm curious. I'll have to look into that a little deeper. And these things vary between states. Yeah. So as always, I have answers to reality. I'm itching to teach people things, but I need people to figure out some of this other stuff that I've been urging you guys to figure out, and people aren't doing that. That's very vague, I get it. Especially if you're new here, you're gonna say, what the fuck is that? How do you want me to figure something out if I don't know what to figure out? I left you guys breadcrumbs. I've given you outlines, crudely speaking, or at least pointed you in directions. All you gotta do is work with that shit and talk to me about what you did glean. Not, not a bunch of wishy-washy shit. Not what you assume, but what you work out and is based on replicable, evidence-based research. In other words, it's going to keep producing the same results, and those results are going to apply to different things. Since I'm talking about the system of time, let's think about the 4 quadrants, or the 4 seasons real fast, which is denoted by the sigil of Jupiter, crudely speaking. Because Jupiter, Baal el-Allah, the demiurge governs this shit, governs reality, so to speak, as well as the light inside of us. So, how was I going to put this? I just got sidetracked again, pardon me. How was I going to put this a moment ago? I was thinking 4 seasons, then I danced back to my earlier thought. I might have to clip it, I might have to listen to it, and then I might have to dance back into it. I don't think it's going to come back to me. I've only eaten a little bit of a vegan concoction today and had a little bit of green tea. So I'm trying to alkalinize, that's not the word necessarily, make my body more alkaline and balance things out, which cracks me up having to do with this. Why do I not remember what I was about to rattle off? 4 seasons, time, blah, 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 ritual, magic. I don't got it. I'll have to listen to it. I'll be back. Right. So when you start working with this shit, you're going to connect dots. In other words, this is going to be one of the paradigms that you would think in terms of. You could think of this being what idiots call quantum physics, which is a horrible example because that's all pseudoscience and propaganda. But you could think of that for a second. You could think of this as archaeology. You could think of this as pick a fucking subject and pick another subject. And what you're going to reason out is going to apply to each one of these. In other words, do you remember that test question that I put online having to do with where we are and how this shit works, and how I was looking for a one-word answer? And that one-word answer applies to anything you can fucking think of in terms of all of these goddamn subjects. Yes, I know, 4 quadrants, but I showed you other bits of the sidewalk to try to illustrate a point. To humor that, think of this as 2D. I showed you more. You could think of that as 3D. Not just a still slice of the pie, but it being in motion. Hence, 3D infused with 4D having to do with time, crudely speaking. You're going to be able to apply what you learn to all these other things. In other words, you would be able to talk to me about more than one thing. You'd be able to talk to me about something that does reflect reality because it's interconnected and it syncs to all of these respective pieces. Not just some wishy-washy shit that you probably assume you made up, you likely made up, and you dash out the door and you talk at me because you're trying to impress me. That's not how it works. You will know when you know if you put in the time.